taking our seats. We're going to have a block between our feet. And you can always start with that block for a little extra lumbar support behind you. And just taking a moment to get settled in. Let's take our hands to our hips once you do get settled into your seat. We're just going to play with a little bit of pelvic tilts and tucks. So if that block behind you prevents you from tucking as much as you'd like, you can always move it or just scoot your tush forward. So first and foremost, just starting to push the pelvis forward. It feels like your ribs are expanding in the front. The pelvis is right down here where my hands are. And then just a slow, gentle tuck. It can feel like you're rounded in your shoulders, but see if you can sit tall. It also can feel like your back ribs open when you tuck your tailbone. And then just slow and steady, pushing that pelvis forward. So even though the ribs might change a little, we're not overdoing it. We're really trying to isolate it into the pelvis as much as we can. So as you lean back slightly and tuck your tailbone, you can exhale. And then start to come forward, transition, lean the pelvis forward. Inhale. And then just taking one more little tuck. Exhale. And then come right into neutral. Good. So just take those hands down for a moment. Just roll those wrists, work those fingers. Maybe squeeze your hands. Right. And then we're going to return our hands onto our hips. So we're going to just shift one side of our pelvis forward, and you're going to feel it and see it from one side and then the other. So it's going to shift forward, just like I'm motioning my arm, right? So gently squeeze your block, and then from the hip joints, try to steady the rest of the body. Just slowly push your right hip forward, and you can see that right knee comes forward, and naturally your left hip will retract back. So you're on a slight diagonal into the hips, right? So you can feel it maybe even in the shoulders, left shoulder back, right shoulder forward. But we're not trying to force anything in our upper body to do so. Just let it naturally happen, just like your opposite side. So now slowly come back to center, letting that right knee and right hip retract. But movement comes from the hip and the pelvis. So just pushing that left hip forward. Notice that right knee, hip retracting back, the right shoulder slowly pulling back, and then just coming forward. And if you don't notice these parts of yourselves that I'm saying that might be naturally going back, you could have a deep tightness, and so it might be harder. You might feel a little bit more in a lockdown. So these are things to notice about yourself. It might be parts of yourselves that you need to focus a little bit more on to help you open, release tension. So ideally that right knee and hip are charging forward, and then return back to center, and then slowly letting that left hip come forward. So I'm not twisting whatsoever. And then one more time with each, the right hip and knee sliding forward, and that left knee back. And then the last one with that left knee sliding forward, right hip back. Good. So it's really hard to see, obviously, because I'm wearing dark pants, but hopefully you saw a little bit of the changing in my shoulders. So the movement really is quite small. All right, so now you can take your feet for a moment on top of that block that's on the ground. Good. And then just walk your toes forward for a moment, letting the heels stay on top and just pushing towards your toes. Now your block might be really big and you might find that that floor is pretty far away. If your legs are too far away, you might find it to be more of a challenge. Right, so when we started, they were roughly 90 degrees. Now they're just slightly extended out of that 90. All right, so neutralize your pelvis. Take your arms up to the sky. Remember, your toes might float or press to the floor. So inhale, reach up high to the sky, shrug the shoulders, move into that interior tilt as you lean forward. Okay, take your hands down. Eventually, you're still moving just from the pelvis. The head hasn't dropped, the shoulders haven't rounded. Taking your hands onto those legs. Now, you might be driving down a little deeper through the toes here. And then keep hinging from those hips, sliding the hands down in front of those knees. Eventually you'll find where you can't hinge any further. See if you can just pause there for a few moments. Press into the inner and outer heels evenly. Let the shoulders slide down your back. A slight squeeze of the shoulder blades, chin towards the chest. Nice. Now you can stay here, or you can continue sliding down further and noticing how your feet might slide a little closer to the floor. Again, depending on your block. And just grounding down as deeply as you like. Your head can stay elevated or drop your crown. Breathing in and out through the nose. Are you rolling to your pinky edges of your feet? Try to press into your big toes. And then walk those hands up those legs as you inhale. Sitting nice and tall as you exhale. And then moving the balls of your feet to the back side of your blocks. So now I'm in a very tight 90 degrees because I'm dropping my heels down. And my heels aren't necessarily touching, so if you want to get closer to the floor, you can move your legs a little further forward, but I like the stretch that I'm feeling, so I want to stay with it, right? So change it as you need to. Roll the shoulders back, turn the palms open, and lift up to the sky. Inhale, big breath in. Anterior tilt as you're moving forward. Your head and shoulders will follow the movement just like we practiced. Try to drive the heels down further, finding that stopping point. Eventually those arms will connect to your thighs. And see if you can gently drive down those heels just a little bit more. Shoulder blades back, tailbone slightly tucked, chin is towards the chest. You're welcome to stay right here, or maybe slide onto the forearms, or take it further down, eventually rounding your back, taking the heels even further to the floor. You're welcome to drop your head in time and back. Take another big breath. Side out. And then slide the hands along those legs, pushing yourself away from your thighs. Sitting up nice and tall as you slowly sit back. Good. Bring your feet back outside of those blocks or block on the floor. Adjusting so that you can feel nice and tall, letting one hand rest into the other. Shrug the shoulders up to the ears, roll them down your back, neutralize the pelvis. Take another deep breath in, press into those feet, reach out to the crown, exhale, release the breath. Okay. So now just slowly from this length of the spine, extend your arms out wide. Turn your palms up. Let your left ear travel to your left shoulder. And then start to lean your torso to the left as well. Now you could take your left hand if you want more support onto your thigh or grip your chair. Or keep it on that hover. So 3 different spots that you can choose. You can slowly lift that right arm up a little higher. Adding a deeper now side stretch in this neck opening. Turn your head to look down that left shoulder. Bring your chin over your chest. Roll your top shoulder back as you look to the right. Full exhalation. Press your feet into the floor and then slowly sit up tall, letting those arms open out. Try to even out the balance, the weight distribution into your body, left and right. See if you notice any changes in how your body's feeling. It's okay if you don't. Right ear towards that right shoulder. Now your right hand can grip the edge of the chair or rest to your thigh or continue on that hover. Lifting your left arm so your palms are facing out and up, lifting that left arm up, starting to arc over, ground down into your tush and your feet. Where does that right hand need to be for extra support? Sink into that left side of your tush Look over top of your right shoulder. Look to the center of your chest. Turning your chin to look towards the left. Reach through the fingertips, then inhale, rising up. And exhale, letting those arms settle back to your thigh. One hand on top of the other. And just take a moment. Reset the posture. Breathe in, breathe out. Noticing left and right, if they're feeling balanced or if one side feels a little bit more stimulated than the other. Not a question of right or wrong, just awareness. So now we extend our arms back out. So press evenly into those feet, gentle squeezes of that block with the side edges of your feet. Lift your arms to a height where you feel like you're working but not overworking, where you can relax the shoulders and your jaws, keeping your chin parallel. Stay activated in your body without overly activating where you're forcing yourself. It should feel sustainable. So I just want you to notice how your arms are starting to feel heavy, even without the weights in your hands, right? This is gravity beginning to take hold of the body. Notice how it's pushing the arms down, perhaps a inch or more. If you've noticed that, just gradually come back up to where you started and stay with that breath. And then notice how gravity sensation takes hold of our arms. It does the exact same thing to our spine. So push into the feet, reach out through the back of your crown, stay long and tall. And just another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the arms. Bring your chin towards your chest and just stretch out the back. Good. Sweep your arms back behind you. Palms can face each other. You can either be in air, pushing the shoulder blades together, or maybe reach back for your chin. Keep your chin down. Let the shoulder blades slide down your back. Good. For another 5. You can lean forward a little bit more if you'd like, especially if you're gripping into that chair, adding some resistance. 2, and 1. Letting go. Shake it off. Good. So let your legs pull away from that block, in and out through those legs. We're going to reach for our weights. One weight in each hand. You can walk your feet back into that block. Gentle squeeze, nice activation, 90 degrees. Right, so check in with your pelvis. If you have that block, you're pushing your lumbar into that block. Right. So we're going to slow and steady extend both of the arms out in front. It's okay to have soft elbow, but lifting the arms about shoulder height, pushing through gravity, and then coming into a bicep curl as you exhale. Elbows in alignment with the shoulders, if that's all right for you. Inhale and lengthen the arms, and then resisting gravity, slow and steady, melting. Like you're moving through molasses in January, slow and steady. Press your feet into the floor, squeeze the block to stay active through the lower half. Good. Once you're down on the thighs, relax. Okay. And then again, press and activate into the floor, reach out through the crown, don't sink in your spine, slowly start to extend the arms. Once they meet about shoulder height, bend the elbows, bicep curl, and exhale. Nice. Inhale to lengthen. Right. If you're feeling strain in the neck, just bring your chin a little lower, and then resisting gravity, but letting it also win simultaneously, slow and steady. You're in control. Gravity is helping you here, pushing you down. Making those weights feel like they're 100 pounds. We're going to do that just one more time before we do. Let it go. Shake it off. Right. Rebuild when you're ready. Feel that activation. Connect the whole body. Balance it out. Slow and steady. Lift the arms. Shoulder height. Inhale. Pause. Bicep curl. Exhale. Good. Inhale. Extend the arms. Play into that resistance. Slow and steady. Melting down. Chin comes to the chest. Head presses back, front ribs are down. Press into the back of that block if there's there. Melting down. Very good. Turn your palms down, relax those arms. Move the neck around, shake things off, whatever you need to just get rid of that tension that you may have accumulated. Okay, so we're going to keep our palms down, our feet anchored, and just take one arm at a time. So right arm just lifts up nice and tall, as high up towards your ear as it feels right for you. Once you lift your arm to the highest height, shrug the shoulder and push it up towards the sky. Left shoulder stays down, jaws release. And then lower your shoulder, lower your arm all the way back to your thigh. We're going to exhale all the way down, inhale up, so take your time. Good. Relax that right side. Extend out through that left arm, push your feet into the floor, and inhale, lift. Take it up as high as it feels right for you. Once you find that max height, shrug the shoulders and push up a little bit higher. And then gradually lowering down, exhale. Notice if you're holding on for dear life, hold the weights enough that you won't release them, but not so much that you're paining your hands. Okay, relax. And then extend out through the right. Inhale, lift. Press through the floor, reach out through the crown, relax your jaws, shrug the shoulders when you're ready, pushing the arm up, and then gradually release. Check to see if you're dropping your tailbone or if you're over tucking or tilting, lifting through that left arm. Inhale. Relax the right shoulder, shrug the left, lift, and then letting go. Nice and slow. Beautiful. So if that felt better for you, stay with those singles. We'll do a few more. Otherwise, you can do doubles. So inhale when you're ready and lift as high up as you can. Remember, squeeze the block to activate into the whole body. Lifting the arms, squeezing the shoulder blades up to the ear, and then exhale and slow and lower. Taking your time. All right. Again, when you're ready, relax the shoulders, relax the jaws. Extend up through the arms, press your feet down, inhale and lift. Find your max height and shrug the shoulders. And then lowering down nice and slowly. Good. We got 1 to 2 more, depending if you're doing singles or not. All right, so extend, press your feet to the floor, activate, inhale, lift. Shrug those shoulders, lift up. And then exhale it down. If you want to do another double, you can. If you got one more arm to do to clean up the sides, the reps, you're welcome to continue. So totally up to you. Inhale. Shrug the shoulders, lift. And then exhale, taking it down. Good, we're going to release those weights. Beautiful. Walk those legs open. Stretch your legs as wide as you can, trying to activate those feet up towards the ceiling. You might scooch away from the back seat a little bit further, maybe even the back part of your block doesn't make that connection. If you don't feel comfortable, you can always put another block behind you. So hands to those hips. When you're ready, we're going to lean over towards that left side. Make sure not to slide off your chair, so find a good position. Left hand, is going to slide down that left leg. You're opening and expanding into that right side. Right hand can stay down or lift that right arm up. Toes are trying to push up towards the sky. Knees can bend here to help you. Reach on the exhalation. Inhale and just slowly come back, sitting tall. Hands to those hips. Relax the shoulders. Release the breath. Good. Inhale, sliding over to that right side. Keeping the head pressing back into an imaginary wall. Right arm slides down, left hand either down or up as you pause, exhale. Let the toes point at you. And then inhale, sit back up. One more with each. You've got this. Nice and slow. Take a break at the center. Inhale. exhale, and then inhale, slide over to that left side. Right hand down or left arm up at some point. Find that exhalation, release. And come back up. Good, big breath in, big breath out. Last one, inhale and slide down that right side. Lifting through that left arm when you're ready, if that feels comfortable. Exhale. And then come back up in. Good. So that block, you can flatten it against the chair if it's there, and just lean back, hands back behind you. So we're going to turn our toes from the hip joints inward. You might have to scooch your tush a little bit more forward so that you can feel that rocking sensation. We're just rolling the hip joints inside, taking those toes and pointing them in. Good. So very little movement in that upper body. And now we'll reverse it, taking those toes outside. And just kind of little windshield washers. It's from the hip joints that you're moving those feet. Trying to initiate the movement from up here to wiggle all the way down to the heels. Again, this is one of those that it could fit super challenging. It's just a tell for you to notice how tight you might be holding tension into those hips. Right? And then when you're ready, just slide those feet in. Grab your block with your feet. Stay leaning back. If your wrists need a break, give yourself a break. Right? But you're lifting the chest, not flaring the ribs. Right? Your feet are bending. Your knees are bending, walking those feet in. Right? We're going to push our hands in the chair and try to lift that block with our feet and then lower down. Right? If you're too close, walk a little further away. Lift. Exhale. Lower down. If that's a no-no for today, then just work with single leg lifts. All right? Lift. Exhale. Lower down. So what we tend to do is we tend to do this. Right? And then we're dumping in our back. We don't want to use our back. We want to try to stay in the core. Lift on the exhalation. Stay as tall and long as you can. Good. Stick with the singles or squeeze that block and lift. Exhale. Inhale down. Final two. You got this. Relax the jaw. Shoulders are trying to slide down your back. Lift. And then release is our last one. Reach out through the crown and lift. Exhale. And lower down. Beautiful. Come forward and then just melt over top of those thighs, stretching things out. Wiggling that around. And then that block that's on the floor, go ahead and move it over outside away from you so it's not going to trip you up. Move those blocks underneath you. Make sure the block behind you is not going to get in your way. We're just going to come to stand and stay. So sweep your arms back behind you, press the palms towards one another, and then rise up when you're ready. Inhale, a big stretch at the top. Open the arms out wide as you exhale. And just shake it off. All right. So we are going to turn the high part of our chair to us. And we're going to turn to face forward. So mirroring you, I have my left side to the chair. So just start to widen those feet. We'll do a few without the weights and then come into some more exercises with those weights. So if you want them nearby, go ahead and bring them a little closer. All right. So right now, you can have your left hand onto the chair. Legs are nice and long to start. Maybe the right hand onto the hip. Okay. Slowly start to bend into your left knee towards the chair, keeping length into that right leg, and then just push away. Right, so the movement is all from the knee first, just bending into that knee. Everything else stays nice and tall, just like you start. Neutral through that pelvis. Leaning in. Then push away as you activate into those feet. Toes are trying to open up. Inhale, lean towards the chair, and then push away from the chair. Notice how much you're relying on your hand. You can rely on your hand, but not let that be your main source. Right? See if you can really squeeze into your quads, stay neutral in the pelvis so that your psoas can help push away using quads and hip flexors here. So inhale, lean, push away, and exhale. Good, last one. Inhale, lean, and exhale, push away. Very good. So arms to a T, take a big breath in, sigh it out. Start to turn your palms out like you're holding open elevator doors. So you're going to take your right hand and just rotate through the torso and come as far across the body to the left that feels good for you. Check to see how this whole right side, hip, and knee are feeling. If taking this twist from essentially the thoracic doesn't feel great in the lower half, then you can adjust your foot so you can feel more comfort, toe forward. Okay? So find what works for you. But think about that upper body is really twisting as the lower half tries to stay stacked. And then open up nice and slowly. So even if you've adjusted that right foot, it can stay forward. It can stay open. All right, now take that right hand once again across the chest and try to push it forward. Exhale. Inhale and retract. Right, your hands can get pretty tired doing this, so you can drop the fingers down, stretch out the wrists, and then lift them back up again. 2 more times. Inhale, pull in the arm across the body from the torso and push forward with that right hand. Twist. And then take it all the way back. This last one, relax the shoulders and the face, and then come across that right hand and push. Exhale. Good. Now stay right there with your hands out in front of you. Reach for your chair. Lift your right foot and pivot forward. Lift your right heel, pivot back. Lift your left foot and face the chair. Okay, so no, I'm not mirroring you. Try not to get confused, but just stay with it. So when you're ready, I'm not going to try and get confused for sure. That's really what I'm saying. So I feel like the chair is a little close, so I'm just going to scooch it away. If you feel that same way too, so that if you want to come down a little bit further, you can. You're welcome to stay up as high as you need to and just focus more on that back leg. Ideally, your hips are essentially in the same line of plane, facing towards the front. Now, this can be pretty intense, so that front knee can bend and extend. Right, we are working on trying to keep length in that back leg, but if your heel is lifted, then I would rather you bend into your front knee to really work into lengthening that back leg. Okay, no hyperextensions if you have hypermobility. Shoulders down your back. You can stay tall. You can hinge and fold. Right, front leg either straight or bent. Working on that back leg lengthen. Let's see where you want to take this. Your hands can move down the chair. Relax your face. Press into your big toes for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly bring the torso back up. Good. So bend into your front knee if you're not already to push your front foot back just a little bit. All right. So now press into your front foot and lift your back heel, pushing away. Standing up nice and tall here. All right, so we're moving right into that warrior 3. So hips are in alignment. Your back leg is going to slowly float up because you're hinging from those hips. You can stay as high as you want onto your chair. You can slide down. Okay, you can take the back part of the seat. But notice if you're trying to stack your hips, roll your back hip down from the pinky toe through the hip joint. Reach out through the crown. Good. And now squeeze your glutes and then let them go. And then squeeze your glute one more time and then let it go. Bending into your standing leg, release your back foot, climb up the chair, push yourself away and pivot back to the center. Give yourself a moment to breathe. Good. We're going to take our hands onto our hips. And I want you to focus on your hip joints, right? They're ball joints. So just like this in the hips. Now, some of us have hip joints that are closer in, centered, or outside. All right. So it can feel and look a little different for all of us, but the objective is still the same. So we're trying not to move the rest of our body, just through the hip joints. So try to move the hip joints in a circular motion. If it feels good and you're in a place where you feel comfortable, see if you can close the eyes or just look down at the ground at something that you can just really just focus on your hip joints. See if you can connect with that part of your body and see if you can feel that you're creating these little circles going left, going forward, going right to the back, whatever movement you're in right now. Are you tightening up your jaws? Are you overactive in your thighs? What about your toes? Can you relax? And then come into center, pause. Notice your natural habit if you go left or right. Do the reverse and switch your circles. So what happens here is that we get sometimes really wobbly in movements in our pelvis where we're going forward and back. Our pelvis is actually trying to stay neutral. And what we're doing is we're just really trying to focus on moving our hip joints in our hip socket. And if this feels really confusing to you and you're not quite sure you're getting it right, just know that taking this moment of awareness for yourself, breathing, you're still benefiting from something, whether it's not this actual movement if you're not sure you're getting it, right? So it's never about perfection. It's always about focus, attention. All right, and then just slowly come to a pause. Good. So let's step our feet together, shake those ankles off, and then we'll move our chair over to the other side. So one of my new favorite words, it's not new, but new to me thinking about it, is called wabi-sabi. And it's a Japanese philosophy about imperfection. And so we think that everything has to be so perfect. Pottery, the painting, the movements, the speech, the writing, whatever it is, everything just has to be perfect. But there's always beauty in the imperfections. So, all right, when you're ready, standing nice and tall, taking your arms eventually out to that T, creating that stop. Right? So we're going to stop the need for perfection here. We're going to connect into that wabi-sabi. So nice and slowly, if I'm mirroring you now, the chair is on my right side. So I'm going to take that left hand. It's going to come across the body. And it's a movement from the torso. So if you feel like you're in a lockdown and you can't, lift that left heel and pivot back so that you can take a little bit more of that torso rotation that you're desiring here. And then slowly retract all the way back, holding open those elevator doors. Inhale, lengthen, and then pushing across the body, rotating from the navel, ribs, and shoulders. Exhale. Right. Inhale, come all the way back. Nice elongated arms, relax the shoulders down, and then pushing across the body. So ideally, you're not pushing your hip and dropping in. Rotate through the torso. Exhale. Good. 2 more, just like that. Reach out through the crown. Nice long body. Inhale, cross. Exhale, twist. Good. Retract and come right back. And then slow and steady, reaching across. Nice. So from here, pushing forward through that hip to reach your hands to the chair. Lift your back heel, drop. Lift your back foot, push it in. Lift your front foot, pivot. Right? Until you feel like you're in a good anchor. So if you had a line down your mat, your front leg would be on one side of the mat and your other back foot would be on the other side. Separate quadrants. They're not crossing, standing behind one another, right? Creating stability. So again, if your chair is too close, you can push it away. Otherwise, start to hinge from those hips, slowly making your way down. We tend to roll on our ankles, so press into your big toes and send the inner thighs back. You can stay on the forearms, elevate, work on keeping those hips nice and level, right? Or you can slide down the edges of the chair, maybe hands to the seats. If you want to go further down and your chair is in the way, remember, just move it away so that you can slide down. If you are creating the deeper sensation of coming down, we tend to push our hips to so your right foot is forward to the right. Your hips would be to the right, but we don't want that. We want our hips to be centered to the mat, to our torso. So your back hip is pushing forward. Nice deep breaths. All right, so remember, if there's a lot of tension in the body, for you to stay where you are, and that back heel is lifting, bend it to your front knee. Bring your leg in a little closer. Stay anchored inside and outside of that back heel, whether you're up high or down. Take another breath. Press into those big toes, inner thighs rolling back. And then just climbing up the chair if you slid down. Bend into your front knee. Okay. You can adjust. So I feel like my front foot is a little too outside. So I want to bring it in so that I'm lining up my ankle, my knee with my hip joints, right? That is going to give me more stability. So check to see for yourself how you feel. Lean forward, peeling away from that back heel. Keep leaning forward. You can stay up high. You can rest to the forearms or slide down the chair as you lift that back leg. And then I want you to focus on squeezing your glutes, dropping your back hip down, and then relax the glutes. Squeeze the glutes one more time, and then relax the glutes as you bend your front knee and drop your back foot to the ground gently and pivot right back to center. Good. Open up those arms. Taking one hand to the chair. So if it's super far, you can always get a little closer, but we're going to bend into that right knee and then push away. So remember, as you're bending and extending, are you solely using that top hand? Really start to focus on your quad, the hip flexor, that inner core to help push you away. Inhale to bend, back leg is long, arm can rest to the hip. Exhale to extend. Inhale to bend, exhale to extend. Good, again. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Come to stillness. Relax your arms. Adjust the toes so they're pointed outside for a moment. Hands to those hips. Okay, so when we first did it, we did little movements into those hip joints. So now we're going to take bigger circles. So lean your hips over towards the right and then push those hips forward. So I'm moving my torso back and I'm sliding my hips over towards the left, my torso to the right. Push those hips back behind you. I'm leaning forward and then rolling over towards the right and all the way back. So big circles into those hip joints. Try to avoid rounding your back and dropping your head so it still feels like you're standing tall. And if these really big movements doesn't feel great for your hips today, go back to those little ones. One more circle around. We'll meet with the hips leaning over towards that left side, torso over to the right. And then reverse those circles, pushing those hips forward, over towards the right, back behind you, and then over towards the left. So keep with that. Find a rhythm. Inhale to begin. Exhale to complete the circle. 3 more times. Relax the shoulders, relax the face. Last big circle around. And then come right back to neutral. Good. Bend into those knees and then step towards the chair. Feet together. Shake it off. Nice. So we're going to grab just one weight. Right. So standing with your right foot towards your chair, your left foot is going to step out wide. Turn your feet outside, lifting the weight in your arm out about shoulder height. All right, so bend into that right knee as you sweep the left arm around. You're going to lift that left arm up towards the ear and then bring you all the way back to stand. Bending into that right knee, sweeping that left arm around, and then lifting up. So we're moving from the shoulder girdle and just bending in and out through the knee. Your pelvis stays in its same position. Same with your upper thoracic. We're not moving the rib cage. Just sweeping around into that shoulder girdle. Bending and extending out through the legs. Good. Inhale, bend. Exhale, lift and straighten. 3 more. Inhale, bend. Exhale, lift and straighten. Last one, inhale, bend. Exhale and lift and straighten, coming back up. Good. So if you really loved having that chair, move it back over to that left side. If you don't feel like you need it, don't worry about it. Right? So you can also just pretend like your hand is on that chair. Make sure if you're not moving your chair that you're not going to hit it. Right? So bending into that left knee, sweeping that right arm around, opening up, and exhale. Bending into that right knee, sweeping that right arm around, and lifting back up as you exhale. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Keep your head lifted. Back toes are relaxing, jaws are releasing, and lift. There you go. And lift. You got 3 more. You've got this. You can make smaller circles in the arm if it's too much. Last 2. Inhale to begin. Exhale to complete. And here's your last one. Inhale and exhale. Come forward. Beautiful. Go ahead and release your weight. Stand behind your chair, no matter which direction you are. And let's take that nice stretch. Arms can reach out in front of us. Relaxing the ribs. Bending those knees. Relax the neck. Breathing in and out through the nose. When you're ready to let that go, you can slowly walk forward. You can turn your chair around. I'm just standing to face your chair. Lift your arms up to the sky. Reach up nice and high. And then exhale and begin to fold down. You can stop either at your chair or continue melting. Notice if you like to bend into your knees a little. Relax your neck. And then gradually rising up so that your hands meet the corners of the chair. Bend into the knees. Tuck your tailbone, round your back, and exhale. Inhale, slowly looking forward as you drop your belly. Look up to the sky, push away. And then exhale and round. Inhale to drop your belly, looking forward. And one last time into your cat stretch as you exhale. And from here, just walk it back into your down dog. Pushing those hips back. Hands can be on top. Fingers either on top. Sometimes it feels nice just to drop your thumbs. All right, so I'm just dropping my thumbs on the front edge of the chair, as you can see right here. So that might feel nice too. All right, and then start to lift your chest. We're coming into our plank. You can take your hands on the corner of the chair. Zip up those legs. They can be beside one another as you lift your heels. Lean forward, push away. Tuck that tailbone slightly. Head is lifting. And then slow and steady. Exhale, press it. Wiggle out your toes. Inhale, come forward. Push away from the chair. Zip up those legs. And then exhale. Taking it back. Wiggle out those toes. And one more. Inhale, come forward. Push away. Chin is parallel to the chest. And exhale. Very nice. So from here, you're going to step your left leg forward. Take your right leg into your perpendicular position. So we're setting up for a warrior 2. And just sweeping the arms open to a T. All right, so your front knee towards the chair is bent. Your back leg is nice and long. And just leaning back. You can drop your back arm down. Your top arm can keep lifting up as it feels good for you. Breathing space into the front ribs. Good. And then start to reach forward towards the chair. Your back hand can slide onto your hip. as your front arm continues sliding down and reaching towards the inside of the knee. Palm is either out or in, and gently just push the knee open towards that pinky toe. Just a little push. This helps to ignite and open up the inner adductors, your chin, your bridge of the nose at the center of the ribs, following the navel. Toes are opening, shoulders away from the ears. For 5, 4, 3, press into that back pinky. 2, and 1. Left hand to the chair, right hand to follow. Pivot off of that right heel. Bend into that right knee and sink. And then push up from that right leg and step back with the left. Shake it off. Okay. So staying as you are, I'm just switching my chair here. We're going to play into those planks again. So when you're ready, zip up those legs, lift the heels, push away with the arms, and then rolling back as you exhale. Wiggle out the toes, lift the heels, shift forward, inhale, lift, and exhale, take it back. Good, one last time, inhale, shifting forward, and exhale, take it back. Good, from here, start to shift forward, that right leg steps through. Dropping that back foot, preparing for your warrior 2. And opening up, arms to a T. Exhale, bending into your front knee. Remember, your front hip is not dropping down, right? We're not here. We're lifting that front hip so that those hip joints are in alignment, right? Front knee is open, back leg is pressing back, arms to a T. Relax the shoulders down, looking straight down that front hand. Nice deep breaths. And then when you're ready, leaning forward, reaching across, taking that right hand to the inside of your right knee. You can do fingernails, palms forward, or palm pressing in. Left hand can stay as it is, or it can come to your hip. That front hip now, though, because we're in the side lateral, is dropping down, and your front hip is lifting up. You're still neutral in your pelvis. But feeling your hand in the front, helping to open up that knee so that you're stretching open those inner thighs. Good. Line up the bridge of the nose, the center of the chest, right to your navel. Take a couple more deep breaths. And then when you're ready, right hand down, left hand can sweep across, pivot into your lunge, bend into that left knee, add some momentum, and then push up and away, back into your down dog. Shake it off. Nice work, everyone. So eventually walking forward, standing nice and tall into your mountain, giving yourself a moment to relax, to breathe, just checking in with yourself. Nice. So when you're ready, we're going to come down onto the ground and we're going to lay on our left side. If you want your chair for relaxation, you can have it there for later. Depending on how your neck feels, you could grab a pillow or a blanket off of the couch, or depending on your block as well, you could use that for your head support. Just making sure that we're not sinking or lifting our head too high in such a way that it causes strain. You can have one weight available. Right? We want to make sure that our bottom shoulder feels like it's directly underneath the top. Because what we tend to do is we pull that bottom shoulder out and then the top shoulder is rolling back. So we're actually more in a twist than stacking the shoulders. So just trying your best to keep that bottom shoulder underneath you. That's why having a block or a pillow can help give you some more space So we're not sinking in our ribs and creating this curvature. We're trying to lift the ribs, pull the ribs from underneath you forward to mimic as if you're standing in a mountain. I know it's can be challenging, but just doing the best you can, right? So just minimizing how much you're sinking. Remember, wabi sabi, no perfection. Okay, your bottom leg is going to go as straight as you can create it so that you're creating length from the spine all the way down through your bottom leg. Your top leg can come out in front, knee bent, foot to the ground. If you don't like your top knee elevated without any support, grab your other block and place your knee on top so that your hips get extra support. Okay, so make sure that you can really feel your bottom leg long and anchoring. So if you can actually feel the top side of your bottom side, the left, pushing to the floor, you can start to feel how maybe the body is lifting a little bit rather than in that deep compression. All right, relax your neck, relax your jaws. Okay, front leg is supported, or it's on a little hover if it feels good to stretch out a little bit of that tush and the hip. Okay, you can grab your weight. You can also do this without the weight, but your bottom arm is pushing down to the floor, or it's bent, or it's supporting your head. All right, grabbing that weight if you choose to use it. Stay in the length of your spine, stacking the shoulders and the hips. Nice and slowly start to lift your right arm out in front of you and then lift it towards the sky. We're not rolling back, we're just lifting up. Notice if you're sinking in your body. Try to lift away just as much as you're lifting that right arm. And then stay with the body elevating as you start to lower your arm in that gravity sensation, taking full control. Exhale. Inhale and lift up. Push into your bottom leg to help activate the body. And then lower down nice and slow. Good. 2 more. Lift. Inhale. Relax your face. Exhale. Take it down. Good. Front ribs are relaxing. Gentle tuck of the tailbone. Last one. Inhale, lift. And exhale to release. Very good. So you can release your weight for a moment. You have a block underneath your knee. Slide it out. And then stack those legs. From that, you can bend and extend and just kind of kick your legs a little. If your hip is uncomfortable, you can roll your hips back, reset and readjust. Maybe get a blanket and just place it underneath your hip for a little extra support. Okay. And then as it's comfortable for you, you can move your prop from your block. We can grab our weight back and place it on top of our top hip and leg. Now, if it feels more comfortable, your bottom knee can bend for extra support here as your top leg extends, or keep them both long. Again, we're trying to push away from the floor, lifting from the rib cage. So the left rib cage is trying to peel away from the ground as much as the body permits. It will start to sink because gravity always wins, right? But we're resisting. All right, relax your face. When you're ready, if your bottom leg is bent, you're going to press from the knee into the foot. If your bottom leg is straight, you're going to press from your hip through your foot. Nice and slowly start to lift that top leg. Your hand is on top of your hand, your thigh with your weight, just to add a little resistance. And then slow and steady, lower it down. The trick here is not to roll your hips or shoulders back. Bring your chin to your chest, relax your neck. Inhale, press into the floor with your body, and that top right leg is lifting up. And then gently lowering down. Good, last one. Slow and steady, press into the floor and then lift that right leg. Doesn't have to be super high. And then exhale. Good, put your weight down. Either roll to your belly and relax, or roll onto your back so that you can switch sides. Take your time. I'm going to make a huge maneuver and just roll all the way, but you certainly don't have to. All right, so we know all the points, so we're not going to go through them again because of time, but checking in our hips, checking in our shoulders, our ribs, right? Trying to pull away. See if you can create length in that bottom leg. You can have a second block for your hip and knee for that extra support. If you don't like it to be in a hover. Okay, we have a weight into our hands. Whatever part of ourselves that is touching the floor, we're activating and pushing into the floor so it can feel like we're lifting up, minimizing the sinking. Extend your left arm out in front of you and then slowly lift on the in-breath without rolling back. And then slow and steady, resisting gravity to wind as you exhale towards the ground. It doesn't have to touch the ground. There might be a nice little reprieve for a moment. Breathe. And then inhale and lift. Push away from the floor as you lift. Good. Exhale, starting to sink. So stay with it. I'm just going to remind you that we're trying to lift that right rib away from the floor. Slow and steady, lifting the block and the arm. And then lowering down. Relax your face. Just a couple more here. Lift. Inhale. Relax your jaws. Exhale, lower. Good. Let's take one last time. Press into the floor with your arm and leg at your hip and lift. Inhale. And then exhale and relax. Release the weight for a moment. You can stretch those legs, move your block, and then just maybe wiggle. Maybe roll off of your hip a little bit and then roll back. Okay, so you can start this next exercise with bent bottom knee or elongated legs, with a weight or without. Taking that weight in the arm, stacking it onto the hips. Press from the floor. When you're ready, slowly lift, exhale. Keep your chin to your chest. Inhale and melt it down. You're squeezing those legs together. Lift up when you're ready, exhale. It's okay to go at your own pace. And release, push away from the floor. Exhale down. Inhale, lift. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale down, squeeze the thighs. Good, last two. You got this, nice and slow. Doesn't have to be super high. You're in control. Hips and shoulders are staying stacked. Last one, press into the floor. Try to peel that rib cage on that right side away. And then lower down. Nice, release those weights. So you can roll on your back and give yourself a knee hug if you want. You can also roll to your belly and take a child's pose. See what you need. Maybe a little bit of both. But wherever you end up, allow yourself to create some stillness. If you don't want to lay on the floor, you can sit on your chair just as we started, with a block between the feet and a block behind your back. Or you can lay down, maybe use your chair for your feet, or keep your feet bent, knees bent, feet on the ground, or legs extended. Okay, so just find a place of stillness. We've been working, so give yourself an opportunity to not work and just fully rest. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And just allow yourself to sit in the awareness of that philosophy of wabi-sabi. It's about looking at a piece of artwork that has maybe something that looks a little off, but instead of thinking that it's off in a wrong sense of thought, think, oh, how perfect. Maybe that pottery has a broken handle, but how perfect. Our postures don't look the same left and right. How perfect. Just allowing yourself to be in this space of noticing how perfect imperfections can be. And just breathe. When you're ready, just gradually coming back into your body. Depending on where you are, we'll just tell you how to move. You can start with wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe you stretch your legs and your arms. Maybe you hug the knees. Right? Maybe you rock. Just kind of see what you need here. You can rock and roll to the side or rock and roll up, whatever you need. If you're already in your chair, then just staying in that chair. If you want to get into the chair, to slowly make your way to do so. Otherwise, you can just sit wherever you are. And we'll bring our hands to our heart center and just bow down to ourselves and each other into this practice. Let's take our arms up when you're ready. Ground down through the feet. Lift up. Inhale. Bring your hands down through the heart center as you exhale. And just bowing down to this moment in gratitude for every single thing that you have in your lives today. And I thank you so, so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you.